you're a brand new coach who wants to grow a thriving coaching business, then today's episode of the show is for you. I'm going to share some top tips for any newly qualified coach so you can create a business that actually works. Let's dive in. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help heart-centered and highly sensitive health and life coaches get more clients, grow their businesses and live the best lives while they do it. We are back today after a 2-week break over the summer. I'm actually recording this in the past. I'm being organised, I'm been batching things up. And today I wanted to talk all about what advice I would give someone who is newly qualified as a coach. I actually have a free guide that covers all of this called the Zero to Launch Guide. The link is in the description. Go and check that out. If you want a 3-month plan for launching your coaching business, that is going to help you get all set up. So as a newly qualified coach, it can sometimes feel like you've been through the hardest bit. And I hate to say this, but the hardest bit is the next bit, which is actually getting your business going, getting everything set up. Some coaching programs cover the business stuff, but a lot of them don't. And sometimes you can be starting your business and really have no idea about anything business related. Obviously, this entire show is going to be for you. Listen back to all the old episodes. We've got coming up 200 episodes of this show covering everything that you can think of that you need around running a coaching business. I have lots of different programs, lots of different things that can support you. Wholehearted Business, my group program, is opening in just a few weeks' time. That is really perfect for you if you're a new coach. We cover everything in that program, so do check that out if you want to join the wait list. But a lot of coaching programs don't give you a lot of guidance, and it can feel very, very overwhelming. It's almost like, for a lot of people, they get to this point and it's like shit gets real and it's like they have to actually do this. And this advice is for you if you were in that place where you have qualified as a coach, you haven't had a lot of business advice, you feel like, oh my God, like how do I actually do this? These are the things that I would have told myself back when I qualified as a coach in 2012. And this is a lot of the stuff that I'll be thinking about now if I was starting a brand new coaching business. So the first piece of advice I have is to be realistic about the time frame that it's going to take to grow your coaching business. I think what a lot of us see is we see the highlight reels from people who are doing it, seemingly overnight success. And the honest truth is, and I'm going to get the bad news out of the way first, it does take time, often longer than you think it might, because again, we're kind of seeing that we think it's very fast with people. We're often saying that we think it's very fast with people, and that is not actually the case. So it's going to take time. How long that time is depends on a lot of different things. It depends on how big your existing network is, whether or not your niche kind of taps into that existing network, whether or not you do access some kind of paid support or not. There's all sorts of different variables. I cover that in some of the posts that I did around myth busting. I will link to that in the description, so do go and check that out for more on that. But it is going to take time. Kind of prepare yourself for a decent time frame of this. Also, another factor is how much time you've actually got available to work on your coaching business. So all of these different things come into play, but often it is a longer process than sometimes we think it is. So it's just about preparing yourself for that reality and, reminding yourself that a lot of what we see from other coaches is an edited version of what their journeys look like. My next piece of advice is to understand your business model. So this is something that not a lot of people really look into or think about when they're creating a coaching business. But when you can really understand what a business model is, what goes into having a business model, like all of this kind of stuff, it is really, really helpful. And this kind of goes hand in hand with having a business plan. Now, business plans are a little bit old school. I used to help organisations create business plans like way back when I was actually working in a job. It's something that I've done for years, is support people with business plans. A business plan is basically a written down plan of how your business is going to make money and help people. That's really simply all it is. And your business model is what your different products and services and the pricing of that looks like in relationship to the people who are going to come into your business. Essentially, what we need to recognise with business models in terms of the advice that I would give is that depending on your niche, you may need to have lower cost products at a higher volume to make sense and to be profitable than a bunch of higher ticket coaching services, depending on your niche. So there's a big kind of conversation to look at there around, is this actually going to make sense? Is my niche kind of needy enough for people to pay high ticket prices on coaching packages, or am I going to have to mix that up with some lower cost options? Now, again, what I would not suggest at the start is jumping into group programs, courses, digital products right at the start. Always start with your one-to-one, always start, no matter what your niche is, always start with your one-to-one and work from there. You kind of need to hone what it is that you do, working with people one-to-one, unless you've got other prior experience of a similar kind of work. So you want to understand your business model. You want to have a business plan that is kind of map out what this is all going to look like. That will set you in really good stead for growing your coaching business. My next piece of advice is to get support. Now, obviously, I am a business mentor, a business coach. I would say that, but I say it for a very, very good reason. Working with someone who has already been through the steps that you're going to take and has already been on the journey that you're about to embark on is so, so, so helpful. It will prevent you from wasting money on things that aren't worth the money. It will prevent you from wasting time doing things that aren't going to work. It will help you take the right steps in the right order. It will cut down on overwhelm. It will cut down on stress. Like, it will just do so many helpful things for you. There's people that you can work with. It's so many different price points as well. So, whether it's me, again, come and look at my programs. Wholehearted Business is really quite affordable, I think, for an option that gives you a lot of support. My one-to-one mentoring as well, if you want to invest in working one-to-one and getting that kind of experience. But whether it's me or someone else, like, find someone else to work with. You do not want to be doing this on your own, genuinely. I did it on my own, and I was really lucky to get through what I got through in the time that I did. And I think part of that was because I had a bit of a background in kind of business support and business building and things like that. It wasn't like alien to me. But even then, I should have found someone to work with. And in all honesty, there wasn't a lot of people doing it. It was 2012. Coaching was really new. But find someone to support you through this process in some way, or some container of support. It is really going to make a massive difference. It can be the thing that makes or breaks things. It really can. So find some kind of support that is going to help you. The next thing is to really work on your niche and message. A lot of coaches get really, really stuck here, and there's so much stuff I could say about niche and message. When it comes to creating a business that works, it is so important to figure out this in the right way. And I kind of teach like a 4-point process, which is people, problems, solutions, and results. If you can identify that around your niche, and then there's other stuff that we do around messaging, and messaging is so important these days. This is just another thing that highlights how different the environment is that we're growing coaching businesses in these days, because we can't not have really strong messaging. We can't just blend into the background with other people. We need to have know, like, and trust. Like, all of this stuff, I've been talking about this the last few weeks on the show anyway. So go and check out some of the older episodes. But you need to have a really, really strong message. You need to stand for something. You need to understand your niche. It needs to make sense for your business model. Again, this is where having some support can be really helpful, because it can get a bit overwhelming. But knowing your niche and message inside out and back to front is really going to help. It's not the case that your niche and message is like set in stone. So don't get caught up in perfectionism. This is another big thing that we're going to talk about in a second, is mindset. But you can get really caught up in perfectionism and having everything perfect. All of the stuff pretty much that you were going to start with is going to shift and change over time. So don't be too precious. It's about kind of finding the right level of action taken that you need. But getting your niche and message to a state that is effective is really important if you want to grow a coaching business as a new coach. Next up, my advice would be to make sure that you are coaching people. Now, whether that is in a paid capacity, ideally, which would be amazing, but if it means that you are having to take on some pro bono clients or some discounted clients, actually the process of coaching and working with people as a coach does so much for your confidence, your self-identity as a coach. We've talked about this recently in Wholehearted Business in one of the group calls. We talked about how our self-identity and whether or not we identify ourselves as a coach can make a massive difference to how we show up, whether we identify as a business owner. But when we are actively coaching people, I honestly believe that does so much for our mindset, for our confidence, for our self-identity, that will help us build a more successful business, even if we are initially coaching people at a high discount or even for free. Some people would disagree with me on this. And again, it is individual. Sometimes coaching for free doesn't feel good. And if that's you, that's okay. But for a lot of people, simply the act of continuing to coach people is really, really powerful. It putting you into that space, that energetic space where I'm a coach, this is what I'm doing now. And that is very, very powerful. So coach people as much as you can. Be a coach. Even while your business is growing, be a coach, do coaching, and that will help you from an energetic mindset level, everything. Then my next tip is to pick something and stick with it for a little while. It's really common, because starting a coaching business is overwhelming, to feel like you're kind of just responding to all of the shiny objects. You might see this person over here, you might, talking about how TikTok's the place to be, and you might see this advert for someone who's talking about this method or whatever, like other coaches like myself are all shouting about their frameworks, their processes, and why they're better than other people's. That's part of what we have to do to grow businesses. Like, you're going to get a lot of that noise. The difficulty is if you are constantly kind of like jumping into, you know, where people are talking about different strategies, different things like that, and not actually focusing on something for a period of time, you're going to get really inconsistent results. So try and focus on, especially with marketing, especially with like the growth stuff, see if you can find something that you can focus on and really put some effort into over a period of time. I mean, 3 to 6 months is really ideal before you can kind of really see if something's working or not. So give yourself some time. If things get a bit noisy, you know, which they will do, you know, there's lots of different people offering lots of different programs. You know, one of the reasons why I love Wholehearted Business is because we cover kind of all sorts of stuff in that. It's like one of those programs that's very holistic. So we're not just kind of taking you down one particular strategy, but find something that you can work with and stick with. Because the more that you're bouncing around different things, the more difficult it is to stay focused, not be overwhelmed, and to actually gain some traction in your business. And it's really important that you do that. You know, you want to be able to see some small wins, which brings me nicely on to my next piece of advice, which is to recognise those small wins. When you are starting a coaching business, it can feel like you're pushing shit up a hill. It is hard. You know, you will have self-doubt, you will find it difficult, all of that stuff. So when you recognise those small wins, when you kind of give yourself a pat on the back for like, hey, I posted on Instagram every week, or hey, I did my first YouTube video, like, celebrate your little wins. They're really important. They are all the steps, they're all the milestones towards you creating a truly successful coaching business, and you need to celebrate them on the way. Remember that ultimately everyone's journey is going to look different depending on, you know, the resources that they've got, the access to time and money that they've got, the existing network that they've got, you know, how much experience they already have in business. You know, all of this stuff is all going to come into the mix. Everyone's journey is going to be very, very unique when you first start in a coaching business. You know, it is tricky. It's not easy. You know, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. This is what I always remind myself of. If this was really easy, like, everybody would be a coach, yeah? So we want to remember that it can be difficult, but it doesn't have to mean that it's impossible. Like, we can do this. We need to take a step at a time. All of these steps that I've laid out for you, all of this advice is going to really, really help you create the coaching business. And remember, you know, when you are faced with those days, you will undoubtedly have business wobbles. Like, you will have days when you think, am I cut out for this? Should I just quit and leave it? Whatever. Never quit on your worst day is what I will always say. Never ever quit on your worst day. And remember that there's a reason why you wanted to do this. Like, there is a reason, a powerful reason probably, that you spent a lot of money on training as a coach and that you want to do this. And really remember that as often as possible. Like, tune into that, anchor into that as often as you can, because that's the thing that will drive you to keep on showing up when it gets difficult, is to remember there was a really good reason that I wanted to do this. That is going to make everything so much easier. So as I said, if you want to get a 3-month action plan that takes you through the kind of initial setup stages of your coaching business, then go and check out the Zero to Launch guide. I will put a link in the description to go and download that. That will kind of cover that initial kind of 3-month, like, getting everything set up bit. It's often the bit that comes after that, like when you're actually into like, oh, I have to market this now and I've set things up and I've got a website, actually I need to do these things now. Often that's the tricky bit. That's where the shit gets real bit. That is where I would advise you to come into Wholehearted Business. That is the perfect time to come into that, even before that. But coming into Wholehearted Business, being in that space with other coaches who get it, with me supporting you every step of the way, me there to celebrate your wins, the rest of the coaches there to help celebrate your wins. You know, we've had a coach recently who's going to be doing a TED talk, and we were all celebrating her in our little Voxer group. It was so wonderful. So come and join Wholehearted Business. We will be opening very, very soon. Go and jump on the wait list. The link is in the description. And yeah, I hope that's been useful today. If you are a newly qualified coach, welcome to the club. It is hard work, but it's so worth it. It is so exciting. Yeah, it's an amazing journey that you're about to start. I really hope that you have an amazing time. And do obviously subscribe to the Wholehearted Business Show and all the places that you watch on YouTube, listen on podcasts, all that kind of stuff, because hopefully the show will be immensely helpful. As always, guys, I really hope that's been useful. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave me a comment. If you are a new coach, let me know who you are. Let me know what your niche is, like where are you at in your coaching journey. Let me know in the comments. Likewise, if you're listening on the podcast, please click the little link in the description at the top that says you can leave me a message and let me know if you've enjoyed this episode. If you're a new coach, you know, what is it that you're struggling with? I can maybe do an episode of the show on something that will answer a question. Just let me know. And I'll see you next week, guys. Take care. Bye.